Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Human to Heaven. I am your gracious hostess, Jessica Iris, as usual. Um, Today, I would, last time we were together, I said that I was going to talk about senses and supplies, but I've gotten a few emails for different questions. So I'm going to skip supplies, but I'm going to do senses today. So there's a couple different things we're going to go over. I have some notes here that I'm going to reference it a couple times, so forgive me if I am shuffling around. I want to, first of all, uh, Mother's Day is this coming Sunday, and I want to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day out there. If you're going through this, uh, make sure you take a little bit of time to do something nice for yourself. Take a hot, relaxing bath. I know that that's difficult, and I say, make time to do that, but maybe just this once you could make some time to do that. Something nice for yourself. It'll make you feel better, I promise. I went out of facial today, and I feel great. So, okay, the first thing we're going to talk about tonight is going to be the clothing that you wear. Um, uh, Before we talked about the ambience of the room and what it's like in there, very peaceful area. So something that's important that I think for the main caregiver, and also probably for the staff. My staff, I don't make them wear scrubs or anything. I just recommend that they wear, nothing too busy, nothing with holes in it, but comfortable, like almost pajama kind of material, kind of something like I have on. It moves, it's comfortable, it's light, but unless it's super hot in there, I think when you are working with your patient, you should wear a long sleeve, and obviously you're going to wear gloves, but you never know what can happen. When you're moving or changing. Body fluids, medication, um, anything like that, even like flaking of skin, stuff like that. So you kind of want to make sure that your arms are covered, even if you just put like something on you know while you're changing them and then take it back off. Um, loose 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 flowy pants or shorts. Um, I again, if you are before uh, the bed stage, like when they can actually move or get up to go to the bathroom, I would recommend that you wear long pants, not shorts. I had a client one time. I was moving her, and when we get into moving and positioning, I'll show you how I do that. But she was real small, and I hugged her, and I do the hug and then move my body with their body. Anyway, she was real tiny, and so I literally moved her from her bed into her wheelchair. And when I did that, the bottom part of her shin, really close to her foot, rubbed up against my leg. I had pants on, and she was so frail, like the front part of her shin, the skin where it touched me, just like melted off. It was not pleasant. She said it didn't hurt. Um, I had to change the dressing every day, and it took 6 months to heal. And then she actually passed away shortly after that. But so make sure that your clothing that you're wearing is something comfortable for you. But like I said, when you are, you don't want anything stiff, because as we get into when I talk about the feeling of their skin and what they feel, you don't want anything rough, anything that's going to be itchy, anything that would, even if you're putting your hand up this way to touch their face and you have like a fuzzy sweater on, it could tickle them and that could irritate them. I mean, this is something that you wouldn't think that, wouldn't, because you would be like, oh, but if they can't move, that's irritating. So my suggestion is something, nice. Make sure you have long sleeves. Make sure, and then you'll be gloved up. No rough or fuzzy or kind of itchy. No wool. Nothing like that. Uh, I know that when you're in your home and you're with your loved one, you probably do no sleeves or short sleeves or whatever you got on. But you know, well, like we talked about in the first video, when you're preparing and when you're getting that room prepared, put a sweater in there or a long sleeve cardigan or something. Just put that on your list and put it in the room. And then guess what? It's there when you need it. And just leave it in there. Unless you get something on it, you gotta wash it and put it in there. But that's a different story. Um, so yeah, so that's what I wanted to talk about clothing, your clothing, what you're going to wear. Um, as we go through this, you're going to see that the only thing your loved one is going to wear is going to be a shirt that's cut up the back and an undergarment, because anything else is going to be extremely uncomfortable. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Make sure you have on hand, a couple t-shirts or long sleeve shirts, that or nightgowns. We did do nightgowns for women, that can be cut up the back. You still want to keep the collar intact, but you cut all the way up the center of the back. Okay. Um, so so touch. We'll just go into touch since we talked about the clothing. I'm gonna do all the senses tonight. Um, so touching. Okay. I think that touching is very important. I think that we all need human touch. Um, the holding hand, touching the face, you know, um, just, like as a mother or a father, when your kids were little, something to comfort them, you know, um, kiss them, love them, hug them, you know, um, rub them. Now, if somebody has congested heart failure and their body's filling up with fluid around the bottoms of the arms and the elbows in this area, if those parts of the arm are filling up with fluid, it might be don't really touch there, because as the body's filling up with fluid, it hurts really bad. Okay, so maybe not touch there, but if they're filling up with fluid, retaining water. Um, but touching your loved one is so important. Okay, you you need to let them know, and they need to feel that you're there and that they're not alone. When they can't communicate with you, when you touch them and they can feel that you're there, it brings such a peace to them. Rub their feet, rub their legs, um, anywhere. Touch is very important, but be very gentle. Um, and don't just focus on one spot. If you're like, oh, and you're telling them a story, move around, be nice with it, rub, caress their face, only if they don't mind that you caress their face. Like my mom, she can't stand to have her face touched, so you know I would maybe here, or instead of touching it with your hand, maybe just put your face next to theirs. Cuddle, let them feel your warmth and your love. All those spots. Um, so So touch is extremely important to your loved one and to you, because like I said, there's going to be a lot of hard times and a lot of frustrating times, but there's also those real precious moments, and learning how to touch somebody that's dying. Um, it's pretty important and it's pretty precious, and you're not going to forget this stuff. And so this is the time that you need to spend with them, because you know there's going to be a time shortly that they're not going to be here. You're not going to be able to do this stuff. So if you're sitting in your chair and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and they're a little bit agitated, just get up, go over and love on them. Just love on them. My great Aunt Vivi lives with me and she's 95. And sometimes in the middle of the night, if I hear her being frustrated, I go in her room and I just get in bed with her. And she settles right down. And I go right to sleep. Praise the Lord. Because I don't sleep very well. Anyways, okay. So we covered touch. Um, let's see, hearing. Hearing's a big one. Um, as most of you know, if you're parents, um, you know, before you had kids, you didn't really think about the importance of hearing or having your extra uh, hearing sense magnified. But it's going to kind of revert to being back like that. The client or your patient, their hearing is extremely magnified, and it is the last sense to shut down. As we're sleeping, our hearing is still, most of our other senses are paralyzed, but our hearing is still in full capacity. Um, the same thing with your patient is their hearing is extremely magnified. So when I talked about the ambience and preparations, if there's somebody in your family that you don't get along with that comes over, go somewhere where they can't hear you. And that might be outside with the door shut across the street if there's going to be a yelling. Um, So, and also on the other side of the coin, your hearing is going to take a different direction too, because you're going to be able to hear every little move they make. If they're on oxygen, it'll take you a little bit, but you'll absolutely know exactly what that compression's doing, what it sounds like, if it's not, if it needs changed, what the bubbling water sounds like. You will hear, you know, you will start to hear everything in a completely different way, the way that you wouldn't think that you would. Um, so your hearing is going to change, um, and also their hearing. Okay, so your hearing, make sure that when you talk to them, you're not yelling, even unless they're hard of hearing. If they're hard of hearing and they're not wearing their hearing aids and they have like a good ear, get close to them and talk close to them. Try not to yell or be loud, because it's going to, make them tense up, and that's not good. You don't want them to be miserable. We are about comfort care. So, uh, so remember that. Try to be gentle touch and more on the quiet side of your voice for their hearing. Um, The next thing that I think is cool is learning how to see in the dark. Okay. So most of the time, now during the day, I usually have the blinds and curtain open so there's fresh light in, natural sunlight. And in the evening, I have a very soft light in the room. It doesn't have to be super bright. Now, if you're going to change them, like a full change, then yes, turn the lights on, but make sure you turn them back off. Because again, the ambience needs to be uh, very dim, very calming, very soothing. You know, if they're sleeping and they open their eyes, they don't want to have this bright light. If they're sleeping, they open their eyes, you want it to be dim so they don't have to strain, you know, because this they can just open their eyes. Okay. Um, so, but yeah, learning to see in the dark. That's pretty cool. You'll learn how to be super quiet. When I was in college and I first started working with hospice patients, before I even had my degree or was certified or anything, I worked third shift and went to college during the day, and at night it was very quiet and dark, and I learned how to navigate through houses through the dark, and I'm really good at it now. I do it I do it everywhere. At night, I don't even turn the lights on. Very minimal light, you know, if everybody's sleeping. Um, so that's about the sight. Now, using your sight, your senses of sight, I should say, is how you're going to watch your loved one's body and how they react and what you should do when they are nonverbal. So, uh, there's a few things to look for to know if they're in pain, and that will be grimacing, like, oh, gritting of teeth. Uh, you know, if they're sleeping, they're obviously moaning, breathing hard. I can't breathe. You know, if they're, so those are some things to look for, listen for. Uh, the coloring of their skin. I do not head to toe, I do toe to head. Everything about the dying process is seriously reverse of birth. And it's the opposite of like everything we're taught. So I do toe to head assessments more than one time a day. If I'm doing a helping a client over the phone, like that's in another state, and we're doing mostly video stuff, that's the first thing I do. I'm like, send me a video. I need to see. I need to see. I need to see. I need to see. I don't care what anybody's telling me. Let me see. Let me see the body. Let me see the patient. Let me see toe to head. So you start with the feet. Um, any purpling or redness or anything on the bottom of the feet, tips of the toes, and then you work your way from the feet up to the you know, the shins, up to the knees, thighs, and then you work your way up that way. Um, Modeling will be here, you know, up on the temples. It'll be through here. If you notice any darkening or graying around their mouth, um, hands, arms, skin, where you can pinch it and it kind of stays there. But the thing is when they're actively dying, the heart is working so hard. It pulls all of the heat from the extremities, okay, into the core. And that's why everything, their feet are so cold, their hands are cold, is because the heart's working overtime to pull that warmth. Okay. And you also notice their heartbeat very, very fast. Okay. So uh, those are some things to look for. Now that's body breakdown is another video. That's a complete another video. That's going to take me a while to talk about. Um, Taste. Okay. Uh, their taste, if they're on uh, morphine or pain medicine, their taste is going to be so like nothing sharp, nothing spicy, nothing overly sweet. I'm talking water. If you're going to do, and we'll talk about swabbing, if you're going to do like ginger ale or Sprite, it's got to be watered down. Juice, water it down. Remember, everything is shutting down and you don't want to overwhelm them. Okay. Now, as long as they can verbally communicate with you what they want, okay, that's fine. You give them whatever they want. But when the time comes that they can't, that's when you take the upper hand and you make those decisions. Smelling. Um, there's going to be a lot of odd smells. I can smell it. And anybody that knows me, if I walk into the room and I smell a certain smell, and I think all hospice workers, nurses, and doctors know what this smell is. Um, but I know exactly what it is. You're going to smell, the medicines, their sense of smell, no strong perfumes. If you smoke cigarettes and the client or your patient is not used to cigarettes, do before you go to be with them, you take a shower, you make sure your clothes are clean, and you do not smoke before you go because it will make them sick. Same thing with strong perfumes. Don't if don't spray heavy perfume because it will irritate them and make them sick. So just be careful of that. Um, so that I think is it for now. I don't know if I need to cover everything right now. We did senses. Next video is it'll probably, I'm hoping I can do supplies, but as I'm doing these, they're kind of running kind of long. So, um, like I said, I want to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day. At the end of this video, I have a wonderful tribute to one of my sweet, dear, loving, wonderful women, Marilyn. She was a nurse. She was a BSRN. She was a pediatrics critical care unit nurse. She taught pediatric nursing. Um, she was a school nurse. She was wonderful. She was fun loving, funny. The first time I met her and her daughter, we just clicked, and she was quite a joy to take care of. She loved Russell Stover candies, and so do I. So when I was with her, we sat and ate chocolate together and watched westerns, and she's wonderful. So I hope you all have a wonderful Mother's Day. I love you. God bless you. God is with you. He loves you. You're not alone. And make sure you check out my email at the end of the video if you have questions or personal consultations. Just send me an email and I'll give you a buzz. I'm on Facebook as Jessica Abdel Jabbar. That's my personal Facebook page. And then I have the two little hearts at the bottom of the thing here at the end of the video. You can hit subscribe. Make sure to like and comment. Okay, here's a tribute to Marilyn. Love you guys.